We've just done about 15 million interviews in like 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's why we're a little bit like, as we say in England, tits up.
Is that surreal? Because you made kind of a small independent movie in England, I guess about a year ago, and I know you took it to the Sundance Film Festival, but here you are now, it's opening in the United States, you're talking to people all day about it. Does it seem surreal?
It's wonderful. I keep getting emails with big exclamation marks and photos of billboards, all over America, with our posters. So yeah, it's wonderful, and I wish every single independent filmmaker and actors, who work in independent film and writers, get to experience something like this once in their lives at least, to have a movie that you make as an independent movie with a lot of heart, to go through what we went through at Sundance with an electric screening, a massive standing ovation, and then a huge bidding war, and sort of end up where we are. We just have to hope that people come out and see it opening weekend.
I am curious because this really started with your story. This is in very many ways, your life. Did you ever imagine it would be a movie, even when you were writing the book, which I guess came out in 2007?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a version of this question before, about 15 or 20 times today, and I just kept,
Hence the Prozac joke, right?
No, and the thing is, it's so ridiculous. It's just absolutely insane, to have lived that life. And then to get Gurinder, like one of the best filmmakers we have in the world, and also somebody who supported this idea right from the beginning, to just have her support and faith to make the damn thing is incredible. And that's probably as far as my dreams went. The rest is just beyond. You can't imagine this level. It's beyond.
I am curious for Gurinder and Aaron, how did the story find its way to you? Was it a film script? Was it the book? And what intrigued you about being part of this project?
Well, when I was at school, I had a Saturday job at Harrods in the record department, and I was very much into disco music and reggae and soul, and there was a guy there with long hair and a beard, and he said to me once, "Have you heard of Bruce Springsteen?" And I said, "Yes, but I'm not a rocker." And I kind
Such disdain.
Real. I just thought he was like a heavy metal bandana wearing kind of rock guy. And he said, "No, you should listen to him." And he opened up Born to Run, and there was this white dude and a black dude kind of like really smiling and, kind of being really close and intimate and looking like they were having fun. And that was a very striking image, because the only other time I'd seen a band with black and white people was Casey and the Sunshine Band. It just didn't exist at that point. And so I was like, okay, this is intriguing. I got to deal with this. So I took it home, and of course it was incredible because the way the sax played with the gentle guitar, and then with the aggressive guitar, and the guitar had so many different facets to it. It wasn't just and then of course Bruce's soulful voice was haunting, and then of course the words. So I just I realized I was totally wrong, and then in '83 I went to see him, and then I read an interview in a newspaper by this guy, Pakistani guy, who'd gone to a Bruce concert and had taken this bizarre photo where he was standing here like this, and Bruce was back there looking really disgruntled, like, what's going on? And this picture's really, I was like taken with the picture, and then I saw the article was by Sarfraz Manzoor, and I thought, oh my God, there's another Asian who likes Bruce Springsteen. Little did I know, how much of a fan he was, but that's how we connected. And so we were friends because, we talked about Springsteen. And then 10 years or so into the friendship, he said, I'm going to write a memoir. And that was great. And he wrote his memoir, and I read The Galleys. And I said, this is really terrific. But, he'd poured his heart into it, and he had, really, like all of us, he was protecting his parents. I could see it was very touching. And I said, I know how to make this into a great movie, but it's no movie without Bruce Springsteen. We need Bruce Springsteen on board, and how are we going to do that? And then, as luck would have it, in 2010, Bruce came to London for the premiere of The Promise, and I got invited, so I ditched my husband and took Sarfraz as my +1, very wisely, as he says. And we both were standing on the carpet. Now he had seen Bruce about 100 or so times, and there aren't many Bruce fans that look like this in the front row.
Yeah.
And as Bruce came round the corner on the carpet, we were getting very excited, and we both sort of were like very, like kids in a candy store. We both had flip cameras, and we were sort of aiming them at each other so that when Bruce went past, we could kind of go like, be in the same frame as the boss. And an amazing thing happened. Bruce, I'll let Sarfraz tell the story.
Well, Bruce is walking along like there, somewhere along there, and he's going to walk into this room, and our hearts are pumping. I've got a copy of my book because I'm hoping to give it to him. And he walks along, and everyone's like trying to get his attention, and I'm trying to get his attention as much as I can. And then he just stops, notices me, walks right up to me, and just says, "Hey, I really loved your book."
Wow.
Exactly.
So then Sarfraz had a bit of a mental breakdown. And because we were still filming, and by now he was filming his chest, and he said, "Oh my God, how did you get it? You took the time to read it, like all this." And Bruce is sort of trying to have a normal conversation, saying, "Yeah, people send me stuff," and meanwhile I'm going, "Okay, this is it. This is the moment. I got to do the deal. I got to get the deal.
Yeah.
I got to get Bruce to do this movie.
Thinking
what
like
am I
a
going to
producer.
do?" La, 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 yeah. So then I sort of said, "Act cool, be cool," and I went, "Hi, I'm Gurinder Chadha. I'm in It Like Beckham. And we really want to make a movie of the film, and we really need your support. Can you help us, please?" And he was like, he sort of looked at me, and he looked at him, and then he went, "Sounds good. Talk to John." And
Wow.
behind him was John Landau, and that's how it happened.
Amazing.
That was the story.
And
Just in the interest of full disclosure, I had been thinking about a film about Casey and the Sunshine Band before that.
in the back pocket.
But people kept saying, "Baby, give it up." I was working on that for quite a while.
You had that written down, didn't it?
And Aaron, I don't mean to age you, but I'm not sure if you were even alive when the events in this movie took place.
No.
So what was kind of your introduction to Springsteen?
I'm sorry for Springsteen fans in advance, but I didn't know his music.
At all?
I knew the name, and that
Okay.
was literally it. So when I actually got the audition for it, I'd done a few self-tapes, and then Gurinder wanted to meet me, and I kind of winged it, because do you know what? The first two scenes, it was like normal dialogue, and it went well. And after I'd finished them, she's like, "Okay," she pulls out a speaker on the table, and she's like, "Okay, cool, we're gonna play Born to Run. Are you ready?" I'm like, "No." "Okay, cool, we're doing this now." And then so I just started singing from start to finish with no context, just Born to Run. And I winged it because I didn't really.
So you didn't know the
listen to it.
lyrics?
No, I knew the lyrics.
okay.
Like I was prepped for it, but she was like, I want you to mean the words," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. All right, how do I do
I
this?"
said I want you to own it. I
Yeah,
mean,
she
here's the
wants me to
song, I want you
own
to
it.
own it.
And then when I actually booked it, I thought, to do this character justice, I have to really understand where their perspective comes from and what it is about this guy that resonates with someone from such a different culture and such a different age and different country in general. So I watched a lot of documentaries and listened to a lot of his music, and like fast forward over a year since filming, I still listen to his music now.
You're a fan now.
So their job's done. So.
Converting people one at a time.
Exactly.
I'm just curious, what's your favorite Bruce song? Everyone.
Streets of Philadelphia.
Oh, me too. Yes, we like the depressing ones.
Well, there's always so many. What can you say? But I think Jungle Land is a masterpiece. I think it's pure drama. It's very cinematic. It's a film, within itself, and it takes you on a great journey and takes you high, takes you low. you have your heart in your mouth. You know what's going to happen. The way the moods change in that one song, I think is phenomenal.
I mean, you can't really ask for one song, but there's a song called "Long Time Coming," which is about having kids. And when my wife was giving birth to our first child, she was in labour, and I had this thing that I needed our child to be born to "Long Time Coming." And so I was holding my wife's hand with one hand, and I had my Spotify phone on the other. And I don't know, I mean, she was just being quite unhelpful because the baby was not coming. And so the song kept going, and then I had to just keep rewinding it. Yeah. So I was like trying to be there for my wife, but at the same time being mindful enough to keep rewinding the song to make sure that our daughter Layla was born to "Long Time Coming," and she was.
She was, okay. That's amazing.
And what did your wife think of that moment of the song?
She wasn't fully there.
I have a feeling she knows what she signed up for if she knows your story.
She probably would have preferred "Born to Run." She was like, get this kid out of me. Touche.
Obviously, this movie doesn't work without the perfect cast, and you have such an amazing ensemble. You know, there's some established actors like Haley Atwell and Rob Brydon. Great to see them, but it's sort of the newcomers or people who I haven't seen before, like Aaron, who really, you know, make up the heart of this movie. Where did you even start? Did you have to cast the lead first, or?
Well, we have a good but small pool of actors in Britain, and so the tough question was, of course, finding Javed, you know, and Roops, but particularly Javed, because he had to carry the movie. And I had seen Viveik briefly in an ITV drama, but he was still at college. I didn't know much about him. And in the end, he came in, Aaron came in, and a third actor had come in. And so I had a choice of three, actually, who could potentially have played Javed. But there was something about Viveik that I really liked, and he's very inward-looking, actually, as a character, and that's unusual, I think, for a kid of his age. He's actually also very spiritual, I've come to learn, and very private. And there was something about the way he conducted himself that I felt that he could write poetry and be quite angst-ridden, but at the same time, you know, was quite emotional. On the other hand, Aaron also read very well, actually, for Javed in the scenes. But then when he did his Born to Run moment, you know, he was a real extrovert.
Yeah.
But I also felt that with Aaron, if anyone had ever said to him, no, you can't do what you want, that he would probably take them up against a wall and beat the shit out of them. So I thought that actually he was a great Roops in that respect, you know, very persuasive. So I cast accordingly, you know. And what was great was with all the actors, even Nell, who plays Eliza, they hadn't done that much, particularly Viveik, because he was, as I said, still in college. And the pleasure for me, really, and I've done this a few times, as you know, with Kira and Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Paminda Nagra, and although Paminda was more experienced, actually, but with first-timers or very early screen actors, is that wonderful moment where they come in and they've got their own instincts and they kind of know a bit of train, but they don't know what they don't know, if you know what I mean. And so as a director, a quite nurturing director, I kind of, you know, held him up and said, okay, this is how we're going to do it. I did a sort of roadmap with him, and you know, and started the journey. And it was hard for him because he's in every scene virtually, and there were times when he would do a scene and I'd go, what was that, you know? And he goes, I've done the scene, I'm doing the scene. I said, no, you're not. You're thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. You're not there. And he said, no, I am there. I'm standing here. And I said, no. And then he'd go, yeah, all right, yeah, you busted me, okay. So it was a very lovely, honest relationship, and he started off like that, but by the end, and one of the last things we shot was the speech at the end. That was him, you know. By that point, he had really taken everything on board, and he was masterful, and we did that in one take. So, and I think with Aaron, you know, he had a different kind of task, you know, because he had to provide the comedy, he had to provide, you know, he had to support Viveik, who was very intense, you know, and bring the lightness. And I think the two of them together, and also with Nell, you know, they were so close, the three of them on set, that we had a great time, you know. And I think Aaron, you know, they're full of bravado, and Viveik is the opposite, you know. So I think together they somehow, you know, pulled each other through.
Did you guys hit it off in real life right away? Because the chemistry of your friendship.
Vivek's
is so
my
great.
boy. Like we're good. And one thing I love as well, like this is what makes Gurinder like a casting genius. What I saw was like every actor like has so much in common with their character. Like like from what I saw, they share so many traits to their character. So for me, like a lot of it was straight, like the Bruce Springsteen part and all that was new to me. But the way he acts, the confidence and all of that, that wasn't that far-fetched for me.
And did you get to meet the real Roops?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We went that diner that you saw where we do Badlands. Me, Saf, and Viveik and Amolak. That's where they used to chill when they were younger, and that's where we met. He gave us a tour around Luton, and yeah.
It was quite fun. We had after Gurinder introduced me to Viveik, I was like, "Do you want to just come and go to my hometown? We'll hang out." And we all went. And I showed him the house and took him to the streets and the shopping mall. And then this was the cafe where I literally actually still go, but I used to go when we were 16. And then so we all hung out together, and it was just like, I think it was really helpful for you to sort of meet him and actually get a bit of a sense of his energy. And then it was really lovely because afterwards he saw it and you got a message from him as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that was the best feeling, because I felt like that was where most of the pressure lied, where I don't usually get nervous, but the one thing that I was carrying on my shoulders was the fact that not only does this guy exist, but he's alive and he's going to be watching it. So I carried that on my shoulders, and as soon as I met Gurinder before I heard his reaction, and she took like how long was it? Half an hour video? It was like a really long video asking him what he thought of the film, and then I spoke to him as well, and he said, honestly, like, you know, thank you for looking after me, and that was just the best feeling. After that, my job felt like it was done.
What is it like for you, first of all, to see, like, you know, sort of these doppelgangers of people you've known all your life, but then also how have the people in your life responded to the movie?
I mean, one of the things I was thinking about is that when I look at my kids, I see like my daughter, and I think she's basically so much like me, but then she's also herself. And I think I sort of feel like that about seeing Viveik and Aaron, and especially seeing them on screen. Like, that is me, but then it's not me as well. And so that's the relationship I've got to it, really. In terms of the real people, the sweetest thing actually was my wife actually went to, I seem to be mentioning her a lot for some reason. she wasn't involved in this in any way. But we went to the screening, and she was sitting next to me, and then she saw the film, and she said, what I love about it is that through it all, you know, as a result of Gurinder and Viveik and the story and everything else, she said, I saw the essence of you in Javed. And I thought that was nice.
That's really nice. Has your family seen it?
Not yet, no.
Really?
No, you've seen it before they have. I'm a little bit nervous because there are some kissing scenes, and I grew up in a family where like any kind of sense of personal affection was frowned upon, even in the family, never mind on screen. And so I'm a little bit nervous about that. So I'm hoping to only show it to them in a very large room where I don't have to sort of be too close to them.
I want to take a couple questions from the audience, and if I mispronounce your name, I apologize.
Just before you do that, there's since this is SAG, one of the other actors who was in the film, who's in the very first scene, as the young Javed is here, so I just want to introduce him.
You're kidding?
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
So this is actually my son, who was complaining because I made him put on a shirt for this moment.
Is this your first movie?
Yes. Kind of.
Wait a minute.
I've been like an extra in Viceroy's house, and I was a baby in Angus Dongs.
Oh, you're kidding.
So yeah.
Was it fun or?
In what film?
This one.
Yeah, it was really fun. I got to know school, so that was great. Nah, I'm joking.
That's amazing. Did you study this guy? Because this is who you're
There was like
playing.
3 versions, wasn't there? There was there was Vivek, there was Ronak, and there was like, yeah, that's quite a. That'd be a funny sitcom.
You can actually stay for the audience questions if you want. I don't know if any of will apply, but there's one from Scott Bluegrind. Is that correct?
Oh my goodness,
Oh,
I'm,
right,
I'm
right.
sorry. Ronika's a twin,
Oh, you're
and
kidding.
his twin sister is also
Oh
here.
my gosh!
And my life will be hell if I don't enjoy. So there's various scenes. So Kumi, what did you do in the movie? Because you're in the movie too, aren't you?
I was dancing.
Which song were you dancing in?
Born to Run.
All right.
So what you did sort of 80s dancing, right? What were you doing? Kind of in Born to Run, Sheris? So she's with, and in fact, Sarfraz and his family are also in the same moment in Born to Run. They're all doing 80s dancing.
Oh, how fun! Do you guys have any interest in? Wait, you must be SAG members then.
Well, we were talking about on the way here.
Yeah.
I said, play your cards right. You might get a bit of membership going.
And then you can get screeners.
Yes.
So here's a question. Wants to know, have any of you seen Bruce with the Mighty E Street Band?
What? Have any of you seen it?
Yeah,
Oh,
in
right.
fairness,
Oh
yeah.
God.
We know you have, but the rest of you?
Yes. Yes, no, many times, from 1984 to Broadway 3 times. And I saw him at Glastonbury. He did a legendary gig in Glastonbury where he wouldn't get off the stage. And everyone was saying, you've got to get off the stage now, because it's 5 hours. And he wouldn't move, and I was standing there, and my knees were hurting by that point. And I was saying, Bruce, you've got to get off the stage now. Enough is enough, you know.
Aaron?
I haven't seen him. Me and Vivek have been saying to Saf that we want to go to one of the shows with him and Amolak. I'm still waiting to go. I want to meet him as well.
Next year we'll go. They're touring next year.
Oh, really?
So we're all going to be at the front.
100%.
Are you guys Bruce Springsteen fans now?
Before the movie, I didn't even know the name, so I've never been to a concert or gig, so.
Do you like the music, or do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
Saf's you're burning inside, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, my favorite song is Born to Run.
Something in common. And also, I guess the obvious question is, has Bruce seen it or given feedback? He's credited as a writer on this movie, isn't he?
No.
Okay,
no,
I thought
no.
I saw he had a
No, it
writing
was
credit.
inspiration, yeah. So we had the moment where he said, sounds good, talk to John. And then we then went off and spent a lot of time getting the script right, and finally sent the script to Bruce. And eventually word came back via his manager, Tracy Nurse, and she said, okay, Bruce has read the script. And I was like, well, what does he think? Does he think of the characters, how we've used his music, any notes? And he said, I'm all good with this. And I said, so what does that mean? He said, I'm all good with this. So I said, so what, like, do we have the music? Can we make the film? And he said, I'm all good with this. And I said, well, how many songs can I use? What should I do? And he said, I'm all good with this. Go and make the frickin' movie. And so he basically gave us 2 sentences. I'm all good with this, and talk to John. Sounds
Wow.
good, talk to John. So that was his input, basically, in the making of the film, except at the other end, once I had my cut. The thing is, it's all very well, like, this was great, we met Bruce and he said, great, you can do it. But then the pressure on me as a filmmaker was, how do I picturize, how do I take that responsibility of this man's life's work and his legacy and reimagine it in a movie, through the eyes of a 16-year-old kid in Luton. And just for example, taking Born to Run, his anthem, and then making it work, for us when that's his song, right? At the end of every show, that's what he sings. So I had to stop stressing about Bruce and start thinking that all the songs that I used in the film finally and how I used them, were all written for me. He wrote them for me. He didn't write them for himself. He wrote them as the soundtrack for our film. And so I choreographed a lot of that, in terms of lyrics, in terms of what I wanted you to hear, what I wanted to make sure you understood the Viveik that Javed was hearing and understanding. And anyway, at the end of it, we thought we had to let Bruce have his time to see it and give us a reaction. And so I went to New York this time last year, and he was on Broadway. So it was a Sunday afternoon. We went into this little theatre. A few of his managers were there, and we sat down, and he started watching the movie, and he watched it very, very intensely, and he laughed at a few things, and he just kind of watched the whole journey, and then at the end, there was silence. No clapping, nothing, absolute silence. So I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't what I wanted. And then I thought, what do I do now? So I went down, turned the lights on in the screening room, and he got up and he walked over to me, and then he gave me a huge kiss here, and he put his arms around me, and he sort of hushly sort of whispered, he said, thank you for looking after me so beautifully. I love it. Don't change a thing. And then we sat down for an hour, and he just went through everything that he really liked. And he said the kid's great. The kids are great. He really liked the politics. He liked that it was saying something. He liked all the other 80s music, because that gave a great context. He didn't know where the Bhangra scene was going, but he really loved the kind of daytimer because he wasn't expecting that. He obviously liked the storm when they were sort of redoing Dancing in the Dark in that way for him was like quite powerful. But all the way through, he just kept saying, wow, that was neat. That was neat. Like, he was like, wow, that was neat. And I was like sitting there going, this is surreal. So that was the second sort of surreal moment. And at the end, I said, what was your favorite bit? And he said, yeah, I liked how you did Born to Run. So I was like, oh, phew, cool. Thank God for that. And then he said, yeah, don't change a thing. I said I needed a little help with the music because the songs were abrupt, coming in and out at that point, and I needed a piano score of the songs, but I couldn't do that without his permission. And he said, oh, we can take care of that. Yeah, we'll get Max to do it, or we'll get the E Street Band. I'm like, oh my God. And then he goes, hell, I can do that. So I was like, oh my God. It was fantastic. Yeah, he was completely invested. And then he got up to go. He says, I got to go now, but thank you so much. And it was wonderful. And as he walked out, his assistant was standing there, and he chatted to her. And then she came in after, and she said, oh, he's excited. He said it's going to be a great movie.
That's amazing. That's the best review you could ask for. Yeah.
And he's such a great person. Like when we were at Sundance, he didn't want to come to Sundance because he didn't want it to become the Bruce show, and he wanted the movie to be the movie. And the day after, the screening, when we had this great response, and then we had a great party, then we had this big bidding war and fabulous reviews. Barbara Carr and Tracy Nurse were with us at Sundance, and they took lots of video of us all sort of dancing, at the party, and just the atmosphere and then the reviews, and they sent them all to Bruce. And the next day, we were all staying in the same house. The next day they were speaking to him, and Barbara was saying, isn't it great, the response to the film? And his reaction was, I'm so pleased for Gurinder. She's worked so hard.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
What a guy.
Well, I do want to remind everyone, please spread the word. This movie is coming to theaters next month, actually just in a couple
August
weeks.
16th.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys have a Twitter account.
We've got it all, mate.
Yeah.
Twitter, Facebook. We're retweeting. I mean, it's so important that we get that opening weekend, as you know, because the industry's changed. You know, there are great movies with great reviews that are tanking because people are going, oh, we can see that on Netflix or something. And then the theatres are full of, you know, all the big special effects movies. And so the art of, you know, craft of actors really sort of, you know, those wonderful two-handers, three-handers, you know, where you really get into characters and really understand the world and be transported into their world. You know, I worry about those movies and being
this
seen.
is so much
seen
fun
them.
to see with an audience, too.
Right,
as you guys know.
absolutely. So we really, really need people to come out for that weekend and help me still keep the cinema like broadly, like, you know, interesting and not just those big movies, which are great, but, you know,
Well,
variety.
I liked it enough that I will actually pay to see it. So please let everyone know. See, I'm getting nods. Please let everyone know. Thank you guys so much for being a great audience. Thank you guys so much for being
Thank you
here.
very much. Thank you.